Hey, just, you guys be ready for it. Just know that right here on Tell Me About It, we are engaging in unauthorized speculation. Uh, Whoa, wait a minute. This is not the crew that you just saw on the intro. This is still the best damn football news recap show that you can possibly get. But I had to come back in here after we recorded the episode on Wednesday night. Everything prim and proper, a nice calm evening of sports content. Jump back in here with my man Tay from the original Tell Me About It and the DC Defender Show to give you guys some more news, because we thought everything was cool, things were moving slow, and then the UFL decides to drop a nuke on us. Not just a bomb, a nuke with ripple effects of news released. This is probably going to be hitting you Friday morning. So yesterday, Thursday, it's announced the UFL is bringing in a new partner, billionaire Mike Repole, the founder of Vitamin Water and Body Armor, sports exec, close confidant of Tom Brady, all those types of things. They are bringing him in to basically handing over the business side of the UFL to him. Several big, huge statements being made in today's article that came out on ESPN.com of the plans that he has for the league. The most important ones to follow up on this show being that he has confirmed that two squads, two markets are indeed going to relocate. And one of those markets that they are relocating to is confirmed to be Columbus, Ohio. They're going to play at the Columbus, Ohio, the soccer stadium, the older one that they have there, which leads to another point that was emphasized by the new business executive of the UFL, was that they're going to move towards markets where they can be more of the center of attention, so probably away from NFL markets, and that they're going to mostly try to focus on smaller venues. They would love to be in soccer stadiums, kind of like the setup that Audi has in DC. Soccer stadiums, smaller college football stadiums. He made it a big point to say that 10 to 12,000 people in attendance looks a hell of a lot better in a stadium that has a 20,000 capacity than in a stadium that has a 60 to 80,000 capacity. He made a point to say, somebody makes an 80-yard run and you can hear a pin drop because the building is so empty, despite the fact that there is, probably in most cases, 10,000 plus people there. So focuses on smaller venues, smaller markets, or underserved markets. Going forward is going to be what they're focusing on. Columbus is confirmed as a new market. They're also going to be having a second new market. We're trying to figure out where exactly that is. He also said the potential is there for 4 teams in total to move for the 2026 season. They said they are reevaluating every stadium attendance and local support, economic support situation that the league has right now. They're reviewing them all. So this lends a little bit of credence, maybe not, to the report that we reported on last week on the show, where we talked about how 4 teams were relocating. It's in the bag already. Now we have some more detail and context to add to that once the show gets started. The show that we taped on Wednesday, which is coming up right after this extended intro with my man Josh from Brahma Bullpen and my guy True of the Cincinnati Bengals reporting staff, where he's going to give you some context on what he's been able to find in public records as far as what markets might have submitted paperwork to make that happen and which ones have not. One of the ones that we had not heard back from and we're asking for clarification about the request, which we assumed was like, yes, they have sent the paperwork, they just don't want to say anything, was Columbus. So adds credibility to his reporting and the things that he's going to talk about once we jump into the next segment of this show, which will be coming right up after I run down the rest of the stuff that the new business executive is bringing to the league. Get my guy Tay's take on it. 2 teams moving for sure. 4 is a possibility. Smaller venues. He also said something interesting that he wanted to get to 10 teams within the next 4 years and wanted to be to 16 teams by the year 2032. He says, if there's never been money backing a spring league the way we have money backing this league, there's no reason that we can't go to underserved markets and smaller venues, pack them out, increase the vibes, do much better business than what we're doing right now. And the goal is to get our base markets settled, figure out what works with these first 8, and then up to 10, and then on up through the rest of the years through 2032, with the end goal being 16 teams. He also plans on having the bridge here is possibly having the players in town in the cities that they represent 3 or 4 days before the games. Participating in community events is what we would assume would be the case. Stuff with schools, autograph signings, whatever that may entail. He wants the teams to be in the markets that they're in more regularly, with the stated goal of getting those teams into those, like living in those markets. He said that, you can't have the DC team living in Arlington and call it the DC team, which is funny because they might end up living in Arlington. It'll just be Arlington, Virginia instead of Arlington, Texas. But that's his goals coming up. The immediate goals: get these 2 teams relocated, possibly 4. He said we're going to have information on that within the next 30 days. So be tuned to this channel because, of course, we'll be on here breaking it down and analyzing whatever breaks open regarding this. He wants to be up to 10 teams in the next 4 years and up to 16 teams in 2032. And he wants these teams and these players more involved in the local communities, living among the communities that they represent as a team. So that is coming down the pike too. Hey, what do you think, man? Columbus, soccer stadiums, expansion, local communities. What stands out to you? What do you have thoughts on here, man?
I like what you were saying. Like, they're just trying to button up the league a little bit. Like things went left at the beginning of the year. If you remember, guys were sitting out trying to get paid more, and just it looked like UFL was over like before the season started, but it didn't happen. The season went smooth outside of the like the playoff locations and stuff like that, but everything else went pretty smooth. And I definitely do agree with putting most of these teams in markets that don't have NFL teams or even any teams. So it'll just be easier. Give people a team to actually root for, like in their state, because there's still a lot of states that don't have teams. It's just smart. It's smart, instead of just having the same team have 4,000 people go to every game, just try a different market. I mean, you'll definitely get more than that pretty much anywhere you go. So, I'm a little bit surprised that they're trying to go up so fast. I thought they wanted to. I think they should have a clean season first. That's my only thing.
That is what is a little bit concerning to me, just a tad. And this is not really the place where we do political stuff. This is not a political reference. This is an actual thing from the history of the USFL. But I had a little hint of when Donald Trump came into the USFL and wanted to like throw gasoline on everything, and like we either win and we go compete with the NFL and we're going to move 1,000 miles an hour, and it's either going to be the huge success and we're all gonna be trillionaires, or scrap it. We're over. We're done. So it does feel like, but it feels like fast movement. But to be fair, like we all saw the pictures from last year, right? We all saw the attendance. We all saw Houston. We saw Birmingham, which has been a chronic issue, despite the fact that it's the most dominant team in sports for 3 years. Still couldn't get people out to the games. Still had the stadium, empty seats looking like doo-doo. The showboats, obviously we've covered that ad nauseum. So while this does seem like some pretty rapid upheaval, which is a little bit concerning. At the same time, it's like you got to be fair and say, like, well, we see what it looked like before. So you can't really blame the guy. You can't be mad at it. You can't blame the guy who's an actual business person coming into this thing and being like, hey, you guys are running this like dog crap. And I know what we need to do to start making money, packing these stadiums, making this look better because it should be better. And I do agree with that. I think this is also kind of makes Louisville. It feels like Louisville's going to be a shoe-in here because they have an awesome soccer stadium. There's no other pro sports teams in Kentucky. We've heard from sources in the Louisville market that they badly want a UFL team there. So I feel like this could end up putting them in there and good. If we can have 4 Audi Fields with the same level of passion, with the same level of the smaller setup, but they're right on top. Like if we can have 4 more of those, that's like the goal, the optimal. I will say, if you went into the United Football Media Discord where all the creators, we bounce stuff off of each other and collaborate on what we're going to do. If you went in there and you looked through and you took a shot for every time one of us had suggested, hey, let's go to underserved markets and go to smaller arenas, 10,000 people in a 20,000 seat arena looks a lot better than 10,000 people in a 60. If you went in there and saw it took a shot every single time one of us had said that, you would be headed to the hospital with alcohol poisoning. So all of us are really excited about this because basically everything he said is stuff that we've been talking about for years. And people who I know who love and care about spring football, who are very smart people, have been screaming about this stuff for years as well. So I love the changes. I love everything that's happening. It sounds good. Stay tuned for our full show. Me, Josh True. Josh is going to talk a little bit about the context of maybe what these other markets might be and which ones they might not be, because he did records requests with the public economic development firms that do these sorts of things in all of these markets that we suspect. He got some positive answers back. He got some stonewalling back because maybe these markets didn't want to say something too early. And he also got one answer back that was a definitive no. And it's a pretty popular market that we've talked about. So stay tuned to check all of that out. This is going to be United Football Media. Tell me about it. You are now tuned in to the best damn sports recap show, period. These days, we're just recapping news. I don't know when Ace is going to post this up. Tomorrow night or maybe last night, depending on when it's been posted. Dallas Cowboys legend Trey Lance getting the start for the Chargers. Excited for him. Jim Harbaugh rehabbing quarterbacks. That's what he does. Our guy, Josh over here, of course, of the Brahma Bullpen podcast, but also BrahmaBullpen.com. This is the best damn recap show, period. That's the best damn spring football independent team coverage website that you're ever going to hit up for news, for well-written articles, and for news breaking off. Man is extremely well connected. He has been doing a little bit of research the last couple of weeks since this relocation news broke. And I'm going to let him get into the finer details of it. But very quickly, in layman's terms, he has reached out to several public records offices in the municipalities that were said to be part of this relocation situation and queried them on if they had submitted the paperwork and the type of documentation that a market or town would submit if they were trying to bring on a UFL team. Of the markets that have so far been rumored to be the relocation markets, only Louisville and Orlando have come back saying, yes, we have submitted that paperwork. So I'm gonna let him go. I'm gonna let him go ahead because I don't want to run the risk of talking too much on my own show. So I'll go ahead and let Josh get into what he's able to report. Just bear in mind, there's gonna be a full written news rundown on this story, real legal beagle stuff, on BrahmaBullpen.com within the next 2 weeks. He is waiting on these markets to get back to him in the legally allowed amount of time that they have to get back to him. So Take it away, Josh. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so instead of writing an article and saying sources close to the situation said something or a rumor of something, I said, you know what? There's a thing called a Freedom of Information Act where local governments are required to produce information if the public requests it. So I went to Boise, Columbus, Orlando, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Tampa Bay, and Louisville. Every one of those entities, I submitted an official public information request requesting if they've been contacted by the team. I used the league's legal name. I also requested for any proposals, communications, or incentives offered to the league. So even if they said the league received 30 proposals, right? Well, let's say we're gonna look at Boise. Boise is the city that I currently have the most information on. So I don't want to speak on all of the cities yet because I'm still going back and forth through the information request, because you have to be pretty exact when you request these things, because they will loophole you out of giving you information every chance they get. No government employee wants to actually sit down and print out the paper I'm requesting for. Trust me. But anyways, so we'll go Boise. So I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that the city of Boise, Idaho did not provide a proposal to the UFL when the UFL sent out a request for proposals, according to their own words. And as a matter of fact, the exact response from them was, "Thank you for your public records request. Based on the search criteria you provided," see, there's their loophole. If one little word is wrong or one little deal is wrong, they're going to loophole you right out of there. But I use the legit legal name for the UFL, which, by the way, it's not UFL Properties. It's actually XFL Properties, if anybody out there wants to Google that. But I did use UFL and XFL in the request just to be safe. It says city staff has searched for the request records and cannot locate any documents responsive to your request. That means they don't even have an email with XFL in the email, with UFL in the email, right? Now, did they say no because I don't have an email that says UFL and XFL properties? I have an XFL properties and a UFL property, and they're trying to say the way that I submitted the request is not exactly perfect. Who knows? But as of right now, the city does not have anything that meets my search criteria. I also sent it to the Economic Development Corporation. A lot of people don't realize that when you try to incentivize some kind of big project in a city, expansion, downtown, historical district, stuff like that, economic development corporations are funded through sales tax. So city has a maximum amount of sales tax, 8.75%. Everybody knows we pay that for sales tax, where they can take that and divide it up in little pieces. One little piece of it can go to an economic development corporation with the whole purpose of promoting business development or enticing new business to develop, or even over COVID, they were giving it out as checks to help businesses stay open because it was slow for them at the time or whatever. So you got the city and the EDC, they're separate entities, different laws. So I submitted the request of both of them, right? So there's two entities, the city, the Economic Development Corporation of Boise have both responded saying they don't have any communication with the XFL. And then lastly, the deputy athletic director for Boise State already came out and said, ain't happening in 2026. So one rumor has been debunked. Boise, Idaho is not getting an XFL or UFL team. Unless it's in like a suburb of Boise. Does Boise have suburbs? Like if you request San Antonio, but there's a little city right next door that kind of you don't really know all these jurisdictional boundaries. But we got confirmation from the football stadium that was also rumored to be used. So I can go out on a limb right now and say I'd be willing to bet $1 that Boise is not getting a team. Now, the rest of the cities that I've spoken to, I'm still in various stages of requests. Some of them take as much as 10 days to respond back to you. They'll tell you right at the rip 10 days before I even got to talk to you. So this news broke on the 22nd. Today's the 30th. I've been working on it. I didn't start right away. A couple days went by before I started my sleuthing and investigating, but that's where we're at right now. I'm going to publish a full article on brahmabullpen.com. It's going to have the exact responses from these cities and these entities, and I'm going to just share them. And then the crazy thing is once I've documented it and it's published on a website, if stuff comes out later, the cities could be actually held culpable for violation of a Freedom of Information Act and things like that. And and who knows. Also, with every one of the cities, I had to go in and register, make an account and register why I was requesting. Was I a developer? Was I a resident? Was I this? Obviously, it was all through media requests, because I am planning on using this information here on this episode of Tell Me About It, using it in the Brahma bullpen and publishing documents online. And so I didn't want to just be one of the rumor guys. I could have said, hey, I heard that there's not going to be a team in Boise. Sources with the city told me that. I'm actually going to quote the source, provide the documentation, and go from there. And there are a couple of cities that I've reached out to that didn't right out tell me no. They said we need further information. And so I'm not ready to quite report on that yet. I'm waiting on Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm waiting on Tampa Bay, Florida, and I'm waiting on Louisville. So those 3 cities right now, they're asking for clarification on my request, which communicates to me that there might be something there.
Which means yes.
Yeah, who knows, right? Yes. Who knows? But stay tuned, and we'll see if we can dig our way to the expansion cities. The league could just come right out and tell us, but that's no fun, right? This is fun. I'm having fun.
A little bit of speculation, a story that we were covering. Sounds like there's a happy ending. Some things got figured out. I don't know if it was because some pressure got applied. There's more details that need to come out on what exactly happened. But we have been told that we brought our troops home. We got the boys home from Mexico in the IFA. This was breaking right before we jumped on here, Josh. What do you got to tell us an update on that?
Yeah, so we talked about it last week, potentially trying to help players get home that were stranded. They were definitely stranded for a while, but I think what's happening now is just got an update right before we started recording that many of the players have found their way home. The American players have found their way home, whether they had friends, family, were able to help them. We don't know that. We're still verifying some of the things before we put out official content on it. But the good news is there are no IFA players currently stranded in Mexico, which is funny to even say, but we're going to try to get confirmation from all of them. We've gotten confirmation from some. So right at this point, Michael Thorpe is basically assuming that if some of them got home, they all got home. And he did, we did offer, he did, and I both offered to help, and no one's kicking down our door for the help, so to speak. So we're going to go out on a limb and say we think most of those guys got where they needed to be.
Happy ending there. Another follow-up to stories that we've been covering. Shamar Stewart, finally, the Bengals went ahead and did the right thing, gave him the deal that he deserved. Again, nothing non-standard, just a standard first-round draft pick contract. He is in Bengals camp. Trey Hendrickson also arrived to Bengals camp this week. Another person on here who has arrived to Bengals camp this week is True. He isn't, lining up at offensive tackle or anything, but he is in Bengals camp covering it for city of Cincinnati, as he does with the Cincinnati Bearcats, the hockey team out there, the Cincinnati Reds, Mr. Cincinnati over here. He is in camp. What's the vibes? We got Shamar Stewart back. Trey Hendrickson comes back trying to kickstart some good faith negotiations, hopefully get that contract done. How we looking out there, True?
There's a good vibe. Just off the little bit that I got to see dealing with them so far. It seems like there's a good vibe. Obviously early on in camp, early on and kind of getting things together, but there's a vibe there. I think they feel like with the Bengals, because they were so close to making the playoffs last year, they came right down to the cusp of making the playoffs and were just right there. And of course, the Broncos are the ones who stopped them, but that's neither here nor there. But I think with the Bengals being so close, I think they feel like this year they have a chance. And when you bring back some of those guys, you sign a rookie like Stewart, you have guys back that will make an impact. They feel like they're going to be able to do something. And I can say that there is a lot of the camaraderie. And I know they were talking about Stewart. I think we were talking about it the last week or the week before that, where there was rumors coming out about his personality, type of person he is. The team is ecstatic to have him. They are excited about this. I don't know how all those, and I want to say it was Josh who mentioned it, right? That this guy was Texas A&M was very respected, got a lot of love. And so I feel like that's kind of what the team, what the team's vibe is now. Like, we're just ready to work. They're just ready to get to work, ready to get things started. I mean, man, can you believe it? We're almost in August. So we aren't that far away, brothers. We are not that far away.
Hey, by the time this gets posted, we might have already had an NFL preseason game. So
yeah, I mean,
go.
this is the time that we've been waiting for. This is what you're waiting for. This is what they're waiting for. So over the next week or two, I know that there is a open to the public practice coming up, believe Saturday as well. So people can kind of get a little glimpse of what's going on there, and then of course the rest of training camp, next few weeks or whatever. But vibe is good right now for the Bengals. Basically everything I've heard, all the what I've seen. Seems like everything's pretty good. Obviously, it has to translate, but I mean, you got Joe Burrow, you got Jamar Chase, you got your guys back. I mean, once again, I'm in Cincinnati, so I'm being very I'm being very positive here. But yeah, I think they feel like they can. I feel like they feel like the AFC North is theirs. That's what I got from just a little bit, little bits and pieces of conversations with people around it. This is their year. They feel like this is their year. I mean, if you're looking around even at the Reds right now, the Reds are on a roll right now in baseball. So it's feeling like there's a turn right now for Cincinnati sports, and the Bengals. They just have to show up and show out. I don't think the Steelers pose that much of a threat to them. I don't think the Browns pose any threat to them this year. So all you got to do is worry about those Ravens, and that's going to be tough. But they feel like they have their number somehow. So we're going to see.
Real quick, staying in that division partially. Don't want to forget, because we always do the updates on what's going on with the spring football guys. Jacob Sailors signed by the Detroit Lions, and then Toatawa headed to the Cleveland Browns. Awesome pickup for them. I love that guy in the red zone for them in short yardage situations. Maybe not great news for old Quinshon Junkins, who decided, he lived his whole life not getting in any trouble and decides to get arrested for domestic violence as training camp is opening. I don't know if that's a good indicator for him. Toatawa, Jacob Sailors, both awesome players in the UFL. Very happy for them. A couple of guys got workouts from the Brahmas. Correct there, Josh.
Yeah, a couple more just got posted today by Mr. James Larson, the scoopiest of the scoopers that we call him down here in the cow pasture for the UFL. So we
Jimbo.
got he gets scoopy. He's a scoopy kind of guy. Sometimes he slips up and cusses on news channels, but that's neither here nor there. But we got Henry Black getting a workout. Now these are workouts. He's going to be working out with Atlanta, which he's been on the roster before back in 2022 with Atlanta. And then Jacob Harris with the Brahmas, a wide receiver, he's going to work out with Tampa Bay. And his little leg up might be that our own interim, maybe future permanent head coach is currently on the camping on the camp roster as a coach, helping work out players during camp here. So he's got a little connection there. So a couple Brahma players, UFL to NFL works. Hey, and look, we don't even need money for the NFL from the NFL or NFL button in our business, right? It works.
There we go. Our man FBI Tugboat, he's had a real busy week this week, real busy work week. He's a famous man in the streaming community. He had a little game he wanted us to play. The news has been breaking out so much, so we waited till this week. Our final topic for the week. He asked, what college football team, and you can do one or two, who is going to make their playoff debut this year, as in a team who has not made the college football playoff yet, that is going to break through this year. Since we got two, I would assume our man Josh over there is going to use the opportunity on at least one to make the righteous pick here. What do you got there, Josh?
Well, I'm going to let the world in, the UFL world in, on a little secret. Anybody who has been an Aggie for more than 5 to 10 years, like my first Texas A&M game was in the 90s. Okay, there's this thing called battered Aggie syndrome, BAS, and it is a real syndrome. We do not allow ourselves to get overly hyped at any point in time. As a matter of fact, if you were to ask any long-term Aggie football fan, alum that loves football and follows the team and all that stuff, we would prefer to start the season unranked with zero expectations. That way we don't get beat down over the head with the constant, all the money in the world, but can never win anything nonsense. So I'm not going to go with Texas A&M, even though we have the best running back group in the nation, and our O-line is going to be amazing. I'm just telling you right now, look, my BS is even allowing me to say this. We got 3 starting running backs, and all of our O-line's coming back. We are deep. But I'm going to go out on the limb, and I might even make our VP. This is my pick. Go ahead.
If I was that offensive line coach, I would have showed them every single day before every weight room, especially before every weight room session, before every early morning practice. Show them getting stopped on 4th and goal, running the ball against Texas of all teams. Show it to them over and over and over again. This is what every single rep is for. For this. This is what happened, and this is what we're going to change. Go ahead though. With your going on a limb.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna keep it in Texas, and I'm gonna make our VP of content very happy. My sleeper, who has never made the college football playoff, that I think has a chance to make it this year, none other than Sick'em Baylor Bears. Starting quarterback coming back. They got a 1,000-yard rusher coming back. They got wide receivers coming back. David Aranda just a couple years ago was supposed to be the greatest coach of all time. He's over here talking about throwing height challenge people. I don't even know if I want to one of us. You guys know that story? Anyways, but Big 12 Media Days, did y'all catch that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's already got the vibe and the action
around.
Yeah, classic Aranda going on right now. So I'm going Baylor, man. And I'll put it this way: they're in a weak conference. I mean, BYU just lost their starting quarterback. Texas Tech has a bought and paid for roster where they'll be able to gel to win it. Who else do you got to beat in that league? And correct me if I'm wrong, but
we said last week.
You win the Big 12 and you're in, right? So I'm going Baylor.
Okay. You got any other ones?
No, that's it. I talked about the Aggies and Baylor. That's it. That's it. I would love to talk about UTSA at some point. I think they're going to have a great team this year, but I don't think they have a chance of making the playoff coming from the group of 5. But I think they might have a chance to win their conference.
So my 2, speaking of chance to win their conference, backdoor stuff, my first one, going to make some of our peoples get a little bit happy and, maybe something I'm getting a little more connected into here in the near future. University of Miami, returning a veteran offensive line, returning most of their starters on the offensive line, returning most of their rushing production from last year, and welcoming in Carson Beck out of the transfer portal, starting quarterback from Georgia, who was at one point touted as a top 10 possible draft pick prospect. I think that things have shown themselves out that maybe not quite that level, but he's probably going to be the best, depending on how Cade Klubnik pans out, probably going to be the best quarterback in the ACC this year. So between those things, I think they're going to be right. And remember, we're just talking about teams who haven't made it, who might make it. This isn't like this is my sleeper of the year. I'm just saying, veteran offensive line, veteran running backs, Carson Beck sliding in there at quarterback. Teams had some momentum. They almost made it last year. Case of some couple of hiccups. I told all y'all they was going to go out there and, in forest fire smoke at midnight against Cal, and they were going to mess up that game. I knew that was going to happen. They don't got to do that this year. So I like Miami. Since we're doing this, it was his idea, Tugboat, in his honor. I'm surprised this wasn't yours there, Josh. A little bit of South Carolina action. I think the Cockaboots might be headed down there this year. They were right on the verge last year, messed up some games late. Maybe even some felt they had an argument that they should have been in anyways. Sellard, their quarterback, Lenoris Sellers coming back, a possible Heisman candidate. Nick Harbor, the super freak athlete, 6'5", 230, track star. Another year of development for him. possibly stepping up to another level as a playmaker for them. There's a lot of good things going on for South Carolina, especially considering how competitive they were last year. So I would not be surprised to see them breaking through. I don't think they're going to win the SEC or anything, although the SEC has been quite a bit more winnable here recently than it used to be once upon a time. So there is a chance for some mobility there. So that's my two. Miami, South Carolina. True, who do you got breaking through to make their college football playoff debut?
Man, I was about to say Miami for my guy Chris, obviously for our guy Chris.
Yeah,
but I mean, in South Carolina was another one. I could be cheap and go Texas A&M just because Josh didn't.
Josh didn't take it, so there we go.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I like the South Carolina. I like South Carolina. That was one that I was going to basically mention the same two you just did. So thank you for that. Thank you for taking my two.
Well, you can give the reasoning that you had and why you agree. Great point, Eric. This is why I agree. That is possible. You don't have to always be so combative on this show.
No, then I have to say, great point, Eric. I just don't want to do that. It just doesn't. Have you met me yet? Have you met me yet? I mean, have you?
You have said it before, but it wasn't about. It was about the worst of the worst, the enemies of freedom and good taste. Anyways,
Jacksonville
Jaguars, you suck.
Jacksonville. Well, I just think Miami. They have an opportunity to do something this year. Very, very, very close. Like you said, very close. Same thing with South Carolina. These teams are all right there. I will throw one in that I don't necessarily know if I believe that this is going to work, but I got to give a shout out to my guy Peagle, who he represents Wisconsin, and he said this is their year. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, but because that is my guy, I will throw that in there. Once again, don't know if I believe it, but for my guy, since you took my two, I also think South Carolina. I just think South Carolina have a chance to do it as well. Like I said, I was surprised Josh didn't take Texas A&M. I know there's a couple other teams I could possibly potentially look at. Like it's hard to really say who's going to make their debut because I mean it's only so many spots to get into the CFP. So yeah, so I mean be more, but it's only so many spots, so it's really really hard. But I'll say I'm just gonna pick one, and out of the two that I first had, I would probably lean towards Miami more, just because the U definitely easier path, and the U is just prestigious. It's just so prestigious. They need that glory, and that could help make the U feel like something that, I mean, the U used to be feared back in the day. It used to be a feared, team back in the day in football, and so that fear is not was definitely not their recent memory. So I think this could be the year they do it. Don't know how about Carson Beck. I mean, we'll see, but they have the tools to get it done. So I think I'll go with Miami.
There's one I'm surprised that Josh didn't say. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up just so we can keep the streak alive, because I feel like Josh has to mention this on every single episode of the show that we do. What's the highest payroll in the Big 12, Josh?
Texas Tech. I did say their name. Yeah, Texas Tech, 28 million, baby. Hey, I'll throw one out there. I'll throw one out there at you, out of my wheelhouse a little bit. But what about Nebraska? You got Matt Rule getting more established there. You got Dana Holgerson going up there doing some play calling. You got a quarterback coming back. You got upgrades at the wide receiver. I don't know. Like
it's just, man, the Big Ten is just such a slaughtering field. This is what the problem is. It's like that's why I wasn't so hot when True said Wisconsin. Like Wisconsin has a really good roster, but like, God, dog, the teams you got to go through in that conference.
But they're going to
it's 3 or 4 losses the easy way. You know what I'm saying? But I genuinely, I was asking you though. Let's go there. Do you think that payroll is going to put them in a position to be competitive for the playoff? If not, then what the hell do we do it for? Do you think Texas Tech's going to be competitive for this playoffs?
Man, I don't know. I gotta see the first 2 games. I'll tell you, as someone who watched the bought and paid for roster fell to jail, and I just, you take, there's a difference when you look. I'm not
Yes,
saying anything negative.
100%.
There's a difference when 4 or 5 buddies from a high school area, maybe 2 close high schools, all go to the same school, and you get this built-in camaraderie, and then they help recruit other players. And I'm not saying that's not happening at Tech, so don't get me wrong, but we do know they bought and paid for some of those players. And are you paying for the best talent? Are you getting the best fit? That's what we ran into at Texas A&M. We had some guys that were obviously some of the most talented guys we didn't develop. That's the other thing too, right? A free agency type market in the NFL works better because you got professionals that are developed and know how to be professionals. Does a free agency market work? I think it's a blend of the two. You have to have free agency as well as player development at the same time. So there's that little factor. But it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful train wreck to watch, because either we're going to see it happen and we're going to be like, the new college football is here. Oil money bought a championship. Hell yeah, Texas is better than the other 49 states. Or it's going to be, hell yeah, Texas still sucks. Oil money can't buy a championship. So
and that's what I was going to say. We talk about it, and we talk about the shifts that happen in college football, but it's because it's new to college football. People forget some of the lessons that we learned from the NFL. It's been for 30 years, 99% of the time, the teams that are making the big money, splashy moves and buying teams in the NFL do not win the Super Bowl, a lot of times don't even do well. You'll look back at the season and you're like, what the hell happened? That used to happen, year in and year out with they're now called the Commanders. They were called something else back then. With Dan Snyder, they used to always be the big spenders in free agency, and the team would never come together, and it would never be any good. It was a laughing stock. You paid all that money for 7-9, for 8-8. So just because Texas Tech has this huge payroll, it doesn't mean the team's going to come together and gel and be cohesive and be able to go through the hard times together. Money don't buy that. There is a roster that has gelled well and is whooping ass, and that's the United Football Media, a highly paid roster that's gelled and is doing really well. Be on the lookout for Josh's follow-up Brahma bullpen going on right now. Over on our homepage, me and True, DAR Sports Media, we're doing the NFL divisional previews right now. So hop on over there if you want to hear a more detailed rundown on each NFL divisional goings on. And then, of course, be on the lookout. BrahmaBullpen.com, the best independent website for independent spring football coverage and independent team coverage that you can find out there. The big news story with all of the research and all the legal beagle will be dropping in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll be hyping it up big time on here next week. And I will be asking you, Josh, to tell me about it.